Hello everyone and welcome to another content creator video, and this is going to be a bit of a special edition style video for this series because I'm not going to be actually introducing a brand new racing circuit like I do in all my other videos, but it's going to be something along those lines and very much related to that. So just to go on a little bit about the footage that you're watching, this is from a stream race, which is why you see quite a few, let's say, issues at the very start of the race, certainly on the first lap. But it's quite an interesting one to watch. I would certainly recommend watching until the end. It's a bit of a comeback, you know, all the way through the pack. I'm overtaking people. I'm having to keep cars behind me as well. There's a lot of action going on, and it's just quite an interesting race to certainly keep you entertained whilst I blabber on about track decals. But this is also the first race that we really found that it was the first race that I think a few of us noticed that this is a traction circuit. Now, the reason for that is that at the end of the race, the elegy, you can just tell the elegy is absolutely completely dominant. I mean, you can see it throughout the course of the race. I'm having to battle against elegies, and they're so quicker in the corners, so much quicker in the corners. You know, you'll be able to see how I have to deal with that during the race and trying to keep them behind me and slow them down a little bit. But at the end of the race, you know, the lap times just completely showed that the elegy should really be in the supercars class, because Dudu, I think this was his first 4 laps on the circuit, he ends up getting a 2 minutes 9 second lap time, whereas I got a 2 minutes 13 in the Massacro. I think Picano got a 2 minutes 15 in the 9F. Pretty much standard lap times that you would imagine from the regular sports cars. But yeah, the elegy ends up getting a 2 minutes 9 after the first 4 laps, and I think that's come down even further now. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy. The elegy gets supercar level lap times in this race, and yeah, it's interesting to see that sort of dynamic of how I have to deal with elegy drivers when they've just got so much more pace in the corners because they've got so much more grip. And at the end of this race, I actually said, you know, the Entity could be a good shout around here, because the Entity has the most traction of any car in the game, the elegy being second. So if the elegy is good around this circuit, then the Entity should be good around the circuit as well. And that turned out to be the case, because it's the Entity that holds the lap record around here, for cars at least. So yeah, it turned out to be right, and the Ron Raceway is definitely a traction oriented circuit. It doesn't matter how much top speed you have, you just need as much traction as you can get. And despite the Entity being a little bit down on power to the top supercars, the Entity is still the quickest around here, just because it has so much traction around the corners. So yeah, this was the race that we first sort of noticed that, and that first sort of became apparent. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about in this video. What I'm going to be talking about in this video are track decals. Now, these, for those of you who don't know what a track decal is, or a vinyl decal, these are the sort of, you might see them, I guess the Nürburgring is probably one that you would most likely have seen, but they're kind of stuck on car bonnets or car bumpers, you know, or sometimes on the side windows. They're basically outlines of racing circuits. So people who have, say, been around the Nürburgring, they go to Germany, they go around the Nürburgring. It's a pretty, you know, crazy thing to do. Pretty momentous occasion in a motorsport fan's life if you go take your own car around the Nürburgring, and sort of to mark that, they put a decal of the Nürburgring on their car to show that, you know, this car has been around the Nürburgring. So that's what track decals are. They're normally sort of white outlines of circuits, and now you can actually get them for my circuits, which is absolutely crazy that this is even a thing, that this even exists, that people want these enough for me to actually go out and look to getting them sorted. But yeah, you can actually buy these for my racing circuits. Now, I'll put up some examples on the screen so you can see the outline, how they look. But there's one for obviously Los Santos Grand Prix, which is my most played track of all time. It was the very first proper race creation really that I think GTA had seen. There's also obviously the North Loop, which is a very popular one because it just looks fantastic. It's very similar to the Nürburgring in that respect. you know, the North Loop is a pretty demanding track, and it looks great from a top-down view. There's also Olympic Grand Prix. So we're going sort of through my sort of main racing circuits. Olympic Grand Prix has what obviously looks like crossovers. They aren't technically crossovers, but from a top-down perspective, that's what they look like. There's also Blaine County 24 Hours, which I think is certainly looks like one of the best from a top-down perspective. It had that Circuit de la South Le Mans idea when I created it, and you can certainly see that in the top-down perspective of it as well. And then there's also Ron Raceway, which I was pretty surprised how well this turned out. You know, I wasn't really intending to make this one because it was such a new circuit, and it was a very sort of, whether you love it or hate it sort of circuit. You know, it's not popular with everyone, but from a top-down perspective, it's probably one of the ones that looks most like a real racing circuit. It really surprised me how good it actually looks. And then to finish it all off, there's also Cutting Coroner's GP as well, which has surprised me with how popular it actually is, because I think almost everyone who's bought one of these already has got Cutting Coroner's GP either on its own or, you know, with others as well. So it has surprised me how well that one's done, although, you know, it is the track that I use for car testing, but I didn't think it would be that popular because you're more likely to race on pretty much all of the other 5 than you are to race on that one. So yeah, pretty strange there. I didn't really expect that one, but those are the 6 tracks that you can get a decal for. So these are all white, although the pictures were black just to show you the outlines. They're actually white decals, and they can go pretty much anywhere. They're very steady. They're not sort of regular stickers that would peel off easily. They're very, very steady. You can put them on a car and they will last on a car for a number of years through car washes and all sorts of rubbing on them and all that kind of stuff. So they are very, very steady. Once you apply them somewhere, it's going to take a lot for them to come off, but you don't necessarily have to put them on a car as well. You can put them on game consoles. You know, if you've got a PS4 or an Xbox One, you can stick them on one of those. PC cases, the side of PC cases, basically anywhere you can think to stick one of these, they will go. They're about 4 inches tall or 4 inches wide. Basically, the maximum height is 4 inches, or the maximum width is 4 inches. It just depends on the sort of scale of the track itself. So, you know, they're reasonably compact, but they're not sort of tiny as well. So you can have a look in the description for the link for this. That basically explains everything about it. It explains everything about these decals. It explains how you can actually get them as well. It's all in the description. The link, it's all on that link in the description. So there's no point in me sort of going over it here. I'll just point you there, and if you're at all interested, that's where you can find out more information. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy that these even exist, and I really do appreciate you guys for sort of playing my tracks and even liking my tracks enough for these to be a thing. It was quite a bit of effort to make them and get them sorted. I really appreciate Pundip, who's part of my crew, for creating the outlines, sort of the pictures on the computer to get those sorted, and then I had to go to vinyl cutting services and find the best price to make sure it was as low as possible for you guys. And then I just got a huge roll of vinyl with all of these cut out, so I had to then cut them out individually so that I could then, you know, package them and sell them to you guys. So it took me quite a while to do that, and I had the smell of vinyl on my fingers for quite a few days afterwards, because it just took me so long to cut them all out and make them as individual tracks for you to be able to stick onto whatever it is that you want to stick them onto. But yeah, it's crazy that these are even a thing, and it's so cool. I'll just put up a little picture there as well of what Cutting Coroner's GP looks like on my car. I'm still waiting for a few more photos to come in from other people who've bought them, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like on other people's cars and all that kind of stuff. And it's just amazing that, you know, tracks that have come from my own brain and I've created are now going to be, the outlines of those are going to be on cars driving around set different countries. You know, that just blows my mind completely. So yeah, the links are all in the description down below. Click that, it'll take you to all the information about these if you want to know about them. just thank you so much for all of your continued support. I really do appreciate it. These are really cool to even have, but if you want one to stick wherever you want, all our links are in the description. So thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was reasonably entertaining, and yeah, I'll see you next time.